There's an old curiosity shop. Every once in a while I go by there.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Hi everyone, I'm Scott from the Old Curiosity Shop. And as they used to say on the old Lights Out radio program, if you frighten or scare easily, we sincerely urge you to turn off your radio now. Well, you don't have to turn off your smart television or whatever you're watching me on, and this won't be a scary video, but I will warn you, nothing in this video is for sale.
Oh, the fond recollections that lie there in that old curiosity shop.
Okay, what's up with that? Well, every once in a while I do hold things for myself that I have thrifted, and sometimes viewers have asked, you know, what do you keep? What do you collect? And I don't necessarily collect any one particular thing except for Depression-era cups and saucers. But take a look at some of the things that I've decided to keep for myself, all of which I have purchased in the last 10 to 15 days. I think you'll see that there is a thread that runs so true. Am I addicted to 1930s green or what?
Like a popular song, anytime or anywhere at all.
Rain or sunshine, spring or fall,
You never know when it's going to say hello in a very unexpected place.
for example, take this case.
It was a lucky April shower. It was the most convenient door.
He found $1 million baby in a 5 and 10 cent store.
The rain continued for an hour. I hung around for 3 or 4.
Hung around $1 million baby in a 5 and 10 cent store.
She was selling china when she made those eyes.
He kept buying china until my birds got wise.
And incidentally, if you should run into a shower,
Just step aside a cottage door and meet the $1 million baby from the 5 and 10 cent store.
Well, was green a popular color in the 1930s? It certainly was. And the 1930s green, as you'll often hear me refer to simply as Depression green, came in various shades, but it's very different from the 1940s green. If you study interior design, you'll note, or you'll know that the shade of green that was popular in the 40s was a much darker green than the green of the 30s. And what you see in front of you are items from the 1930s, mostly the 1930s. And that green color was so popular. We'll talk about some of the different shades of green and how they vary from glassware to pottery and china and so forth. But yeah, I like green. And all the things that you see once again in front of you, I have decided to live for a little while. Some of them I know I'm gonna just keep forever, and others, well, you know, I might enjoy for a few months, and then who knows, down the line I might decide to part with them. So let's take a look. Can opener. A can opener from the, is this the Ajax company? I cannot remember. Stainless steel. A&J, not Ajax. Oh, get it in the screen. Oh my goodness. I'll let you see close up here. Well, there we go. Made by the A&J company. There's a company called Ajax that made some of these. Stainless steel. A&J, I have to look that company up. I don't remember where they're located. But they made countless kitchen items in this green and cream color, so that I'll be able to use. I often find cream and green enamelware. I've never found a spoon before, so I was happy to find it, even with its little dings in the enamel. That happens. This is wonderful. A cream and green enamelware cup. It's got a ding down there and a few right here on the handle. That's pretty common for enamelware, and a lot of enamelware collectors are pretty forgiving when it comes to the dings. Cups are not as easy to find as pots and pans, and you better believe I'll be drinking some coffee out of that. Nothing wrong with that. Here's a lone Hazel Atlas either salt or pepper shaker. And I think by now we all know the H and the A on the bottom stands for Hazel Atlas, not Anchor Hocking. And this is a late 20s to early 30s piece. Here's a lone platter. Dinnerware. It's got crazing, it's got some staining, but I really like that cream and green color. It appeals to me, and I'll let you see who the maker is on the back if you're curious. And that's very difficult to read, so in fact, I can't read it, so maybe some of you can. Okay, we'll put that down. I'm just attracted to it mostly for the colors of it, as you know. Made probably by McKee or Jeanette. They made a lot of utilitarian bowls for various mixing, and then the bowls were branded. This one isn't, but these often came with Sunbeam, Mixmaster, Mix-Made, Magic Maker. There were so many mixers and blenders from the 30s, and a lot of them had several sizes of this particular bowl. That indentation on the bottom was meant to fit down on, there was a revolving circular metal base underneath the mixer, and that would fit right down on top of that base. So that's a nice mixing bowl. Two candlesticks back there, I believe, made by the Lancaster Glass Company, and that's not the counter showing through. That's actually black paint, green and black paint. Let's bring them up here. You know, currently I have that interesting candy dish for sale in my eBay shop that a lot of folks commented on, that the paint almost looked as if someone had done that at home. And you get used to that paint on glass of this era. We see the same thing with these candlesticks. It's a very thick type of paint, and those of you who collect this or have handled this glass, you know when you feel it, it has kind of almost a waxy feel to it when you run your hands over the paint. Here's the painted finish on the bottom. I do not want to break these, so... And again, as I'm rubbing my thumb over the bottom, it's a very thick, almost waxy paint. It holds up very well, I have to say. It doesn't chip off or flake off the way a lot of cold painted items do. So it's pretty resilient. And it was an inexpensive way for Lancaster and other glass companies to produce beautiful tableware, and they could very inexpensively paint them in all colors. Jewel tones were popular in the 20s, so you would see blue and gold and blue and black and orange and black and all different kinds of colors, but I really like the black and the green, and then there's a little bit of gold here on the top. So again, wonderful to find a pair, not a single candlestick, but a matching pair that are not, have no chips or cracks. There's a rug beater back there. I don't know if you can, how well you can see it. There's the business end. I wonder how many of you got spanked by one of these, by your granny. You'd have to be pretty old, because most folks were electrified by the 50s, and I suppose some folks were still beating their carpets after that. But let's pull this old rug beater out of here. Now, for those of you who don't know, this is from the days without sweepers. Well, people had Bissell sweepers and so forth, but without electric vacuum cleaners, carpets would be taken out, hung on the line, maybe twice a year, once in the fall and once in the spring, and you'd beat the carpets with this thing. And this is called the Batwing Beater. And you see that? We're not focusing very well, so I'll try to do a better job on that. The Batwing Beater. Patent number, the Johnson Novelty Company of Danville, Pennsylvania. I wonder how many rear ends had that imprinted on the backside because of some type of misbehavior. That would be a good, well, anyway, I'm not suggesting that we beat our children, so please don't anybody write in and suggest that I am. Anyway, that's a carpet beater. Bottle brush Christmas trees from the 50s, probably. I bought that whole bag. I did pay $20 for that bag, which isn't bad because there's 6 trees. And they are in pretty good condition. These don't always hold up well. And I'll be using them at Christmas time with a model train set and so forth. 2 wonderful glass containers here. This one is absolutely perfect and chip-free. I have a feeling it might be Anchor glass. Anchor made a lot of kitchen containers in this color as well as clam broth, but it might not be Anchor, it might be somebody else. I haven't checked any of my books. And of course a lot of this green is uranium glass, as we know. I'm not flashing a black light on it. When I put this glass on top of this black counter, it almost glows on its own. And anyway, this is in really fantastic condition, and I'll be using that in the kitchen. This would be good for, well, just about anything you'd like to stick in there in your kitchen. I'll put that back. And while we're talking about uranium glass, here's a little 1930s caddy. This is not a tray for salt and pepper. If it were, there'd be indentations here for the salt and pepper or various cruets to fit down in. This is just a random serving thing. You could put lemons on it, or olives, or pickles, or anything that you wanted to pass around the table, even little pieces of candy. And it dates to the Depression era, of course. Now we'll jump back over and go back to this, and I'll pull this forward. I'm not going to take the lid off because it fits very tightly, and it's very difficult to get this lid off. A wonderful brass lid. I love the dents. It's never been polished. Now this piece, what is it for? What is it used for? Is it a kitchen piece? Well, it's actually not. This was to contain cigarettes. And we know that for sure because how fantastic. Look at the bottom. It's an English piece. And this says Shepherd's Cigarettes. We see right there. My friends in England. Do you remember Shepherd's Cigarettes? Are they still in business? And we see Alfred Dunhill of London Incorporated. Okay, and I just bought this yesterday at a Salvation Army. We don't have a Salvation Army here in Philadelphia. I was out of town and got it. Now, sadly on this, and you know I don't like to buy anything that's damaged or chipped. I'll make some exceptions. There's a nice hunk out of the bottom you see right there. Okay, I don't like that it's there. However, this is a utilitarian piece. In other words, it was useful and not decorative. It was used. Unlike a decorative piece, such as a little figurine, I don't like buying figurines that are broken or chipped. I think that's more serious damage than on a utilitarian piece like this. Also, because it's down there at the base, you're not going to hurt yourself or cut yourself on that. I would not buy any glass that would be a serving piece, such as a teacup or plates or things like that, that you're going to be passing around. And I think sometimes chips, well, they can be forgiven when it's on a utilitarian piece like this. I just said utilitarian 5 times in one minute. I'm not going to say it again, but anyway. And also, it's a piece that I'll probably never see again, so I simply had to purchase it. And because the lid is so tight to keep those cigarettes fresh, won't this be wonderful with tea bags in it? I think so. A little jadeite thing here that says pepper. And I've got some nuts and bolts and screws in there from a project I'm working on. I just threw them in there so I wouldn't lose them. And this is probably also either McKee or Jeanette. And from the 30s, made in Japan in somewhere between 1925 and 1935. I already had the platter and I showed that to you last summer. Remember? There is the typical made in Japan under the glaze in black that we see from the mid-20s to the mid-30s. And then this week I found all 6 of the individual corn plates with the same mark. These all came together originally as a set. Wonderful, they're back together as a set, and next summer I will be serving Jersey corn, Silver Queen, Sweet Queen with these individual dishes. I love it, and I was so happy to find the original matching individual corn plates to go with the platter. Alright? Okay. Now, 3 more things to go and we're done. The other week was driving through and I stopped at a resale store, not the one I usually go to, but one that I seldom go to because it seems that most of the time it's very high priced. I almost never buy anything at that particular place, but you never know, and for $2, this one lone... Now, how did this poor little thing survive? There was nothing else with it. One little cup and saucer, very 1930s. Look how deco that handle is. And the saucer is square, which is very typical of the 30s. The cup is square again. That's that squared off geometric Art Deco influence, streamlined of the 30s. And I love the cream and green. There's not a chip on it. All that crazing in the glaze makes absolutely no difference whatever. I've already had 5 or 6 cups of coffees out of this, and I love it. And what does it say on the bottom? It says nuttin'. So it looks English to me, but it says nothing on the bottom, so I don't know. Anybody know what that pattern is? Oh my goodness, don't get me started on another pattern. I can't handle it. But this is really a nice cup and saucer, and I was happy to add it to my collection. Alright, I need some help on this because I haven't had time to do any research on it. Now, yeah, Similac is that baby formula stuff. And it's been around for a very, very, very long time. So what's it doing on this porcelain mug? Made in the USA. I think this is a McKee product. I could be wrong. But I think McKee made these for Similac. You obviously wouldn't give baby formula to a baby in a mug, so I don't know. Was this given out at a convention? Did the workers get this? Was this in the cafeteria at the Similac factory? Did you buy 12 bottles of Similac, send in your box tops, and get a free one in the mail? I have no idea. How old is it? Well, if I were to turn it this way, you guys, you smart guys out there would say, oh, it looks like Fire King's. In fact, let's take a look. Can't believe I'm showing you inside my... Woo! Okay, let's get down here and put these side by side. You would say, wow, that looks a lot like Fire King. Now, this is glass, and it's the Fire King de-handled mug. The classic mug that we know about these. A lot of similarity, so I don't know. Same era, probably. But what's the deal on this Similac mug? I'd really like to know. You know, I paid $10 for that mug. I don't plan on selling it. I'm going to keep it and enjoy coffee out of it and just add it to my collection. And then finally back there, even the book on William McKinley is green. I love green. I happen to love presidential history. My father loved, and was a major, well, not major, but was a big collector of presidential history. I got that love of it from him. This was a book that was not in his collection, and so I was happy to purchase it. Remember a while back I had the bread plate, the commemorative 1901 bread plate, McKinley. I still have that, and now I have the Memorial Edition The life of William McKinley, our third martyred president. Now, McKinley was assassinated in 1901, September to be exact, and it was early September. He didn't die right away. It was 10 or 15 days. They couldn't get the bullet out. They did a lot of probing in his gut. He was a portly man. They couldn't really get the bullet out, and I think all that probing did more damage than the bullet. But anyway, he died, 10, 15 days after he was shot in September of 1901. They didn't waste any time with this book because, now hold on, this book was printed, now come on and focus. Well, it doesn't, that's, well, where in the heck is it? Oh, there it is, sorry. Entered according to the Act of Congress in the year of 1901. Now remember, he died in early September of 1901, and this thing was published in 1901, so again, they wasted no time in getting this out. It's in really good shape. And so we'll just show you one. McKinley was a very popular president, by the way. We'll just show you, there he is in his office. We often hear appraisers and other collectors, and I have as well, referred to the McKinley Tariff of the late 1890s. And there is information in this book about the Tariff that he was associated with when he was in Congress. And so I haven't had a chance to read yet, but I'm going to read that, and so I'll know a little bit more about the tariff that we're always talking about. You know, the tariff that said products coming into this country should have their country of origin written on them. And so that's when made in Japan, made in Germany, well, not Germany, not yet, made in England, and so forth, had to be stamped on the back of items after that tariff. Okay, enough of that. So there it is. I hope you enjoy seeing some of the things that I'm keeping. You can tell I love the 30s and I love green. Thank you everyone for watching. Feel free to visit the old curiosity shop because everything that was in yesterday's video, not yesterday, the day before, is still up for auction. I think there's about 4 days left, and I'm working on a whole nother batch of stuff that I have handpicked just for you. Have a wonderful weekend. This is Scott from the Old Curiosity Shop saying thanks for watching and so long for now. I'm now going to make myself a pot of coffee, and my latest Time magazine has just arrived. Can't wait to find out what was going on the week of March 22nd, 1937. So long, everyone.